It's been 20 years since she died in a fiery plane crash, and serious questions still linger. Was she drugged before she got on that doomed flight? What really caused this plane to nosedive back to Earth just a minute after takeoff?
So when Aaliyah passed away, I was a young teenager, and hearing about the news that morning felt kind of surreal, like such a tragic and unlikely loss of someone who was so young and in their prime and had a thriving career. I never even imagined that there could have been some type of ill intentions behind what had happened. But now, strong evidence suggests that Aaliyah's death might involve foul play, with multiple industry figures allegedly tied to it. This rabbit hole seems like it runs pretty deep. And the more you dig into the details, the less it all adds up. This isn't just some fringe conspiracy theory at this point. People in the industry have been talking about it for years. There's even footage of celebrities who knew Aaliyah hinting at something deeper, almost like they knew the truth.
I just know that that was a murder. You know what I'm saying? That was a spiritual murder, whether people know it or not. Because God don't show people. You know what I'm saying? Whether people know it or not. And I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof. You know what I'm saying? For what I learned. And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know, it wasn't. I believe it wasn't her time to go because, from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that.
And if this is true, the implications are devastating, especially given the details that I'm about to share. You know, people have been saying for years that eventually the truth will come out. These industry stories always seem to be a little off, don't they? When the same names and patterns keep showing up over and over, you gotta wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Because let's be real, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And listen, man, I take every opinion with a grain of salt, but something is definitely off with the music industry. And at this point, it's something that pretty much all of us believe. When Mary J. Blige spoke out, you could tell it put her in an uncomfortable position. She hasn't even said anything since, and honestly, it's hard to blame her. It really seems like a dirty game that only a select few people really understand the inner workings of. Now, guys, take this next part with a grain of salt because when someone makes a career out of exposing people, I tend to look at them with a little bit of skepticism, especially when it seems like they got a little bit of acting thrown in. And Jaguar Wright, to me, seems like she's putting on a bit of a show. And I heard her have a freestyle where she said she's the puppet master before. So I don't know. But for context, this clip of Jaguar Wright is pretty important. And there is some actual evidence to back some of the things she's saying here up.
Now, I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a JayZ victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened.
We were all led to believe that this was just some kind of freak accident. There was no possible way anyone could have known this happened. But I remember around that time or maybe a few years later, Timberland having this rant where he was pissed off talking about they had her on a freaking crop duster that was weighed down too much, and just the anger and passion in his voice, it just made me feel like something was wrong. But I was too young or maybe too naive to read into it a little bit more. But now we're peeling back the layers now that people are looking into it further, and we're seeing that there may have been some additional steps in place to not only get her on that plane, but to keep her from taking alternative routes because she wasn't quite comfortable with the situation. And that's what her brother's about to explain in a clip from this interview that I'm about to play right now.
The video was shot in Miami, part of it, and then it was kind of added on that she would have to go to the Bahamas to shoot some footage. She really didn't want to get, when she saw the little plane, you know, she really wasn't too comfortable with that, you know.
Now here's the question. How did Aaliyah go from being adamantly against getting on that small plane to ending up on that plane and almost immediately losing her life? People who claim to be in the know are unfortunately pointing their fingers at JayZ and Hype Williams. Like I said earlier, I gotta give y'all the disclaimer to take everything Jaguar Wright says with a grain of salt, but here we go.
Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
So people are suspicious of JayZ because he had some type of obsession with Aaliyah, as some people put it. And he also met Aaliyah while Aaliyah was actually with R. Kelly. And on top of that, as a lot of you know, Aaliyah actually was with Dame Dash. So yeah, I guess that's the whole reason for the fallout, because JayZ was upset that Dame Dash got the girl that everybody in the industry wanted and he did not. Couldn't handle the rejection, and that's what motivated him to make the moves that he allegedly made, as well as trying to put Beyonce on top like Sister Jaguar over there was. Just saying. They say Aaliyah was out here finessing dudes because she knew how beautiful and appealing she was. So all these industry dudes would court her with gifts and fly her out places, meet her places around the world. JayZ was one of those guys who was courting her, but ended up losing the battle to Dame Dash.
So you and Jay was both getting at Aaliyah. Obviously,
everybody was getting at Aaliyah, bro.
Right.
She was like, you know, she'll go to dinner with a, but she wasn't going to just be smashing. So that was like the big deal, like who could get with Aaliyah.
The true reason of Rockefeller's breakup.
But that's, everybody knows that. Like we were both. I
heard it, but I didn't.
Yeah, but they be trying to act like he was like really whatnot. He was sending flowers and doing all this shit that he was courting her. So we were both going hard.
JayZ really did not like Aaliyah, and it was well known within his inner circle that he did not mess with Aaliyah, but she was around a lot because she was with R. Kelly, who was collaborating a lot with JayZ, and this is a whole another set of problems that we don't have the time to go into within the scope of this video. JayZ developed such a disdain for Aaliyah, and it was so well known that when Hype Williams, who at the time was his right-hand man, was the sole reason why Aaliyah died on that plane, that's when people's eyebrows started to raise and they started looking at him and being suspicious about whether or not he may or may not have something to do with that going down. And the wild part is there wasn't even any extra people that got on the large plane with him. It was only Hype Williams. It's looking like dude knew what was up. Like, I'm not getting on that little plane with y'all. I'm about to get on this luxury plane and y'all stay together. Y'all, you know, you've been together the whole time that y'all were shooting this video. So I want y'all to have this camaraderie and go ahead and fly together. I mean, damn, maybe whoever was behind this wanted to just take all of them out for some reason. Maybe they was on her side in the whole beef. I don't know. This is just conjecture and speculation just for extra added entertainment value. But my mind's just racing all over the place trying to figure this whole thing out. But check this out. In addition to everything else, the pilot that they hired was not given an opportunity by any other private jet airlines. He faked his pilot license. He had no credentials to even be flying that jet. Now get this. On top of everything else, not only did the pilot not have any experience, this was his very first gig, by the way, this guy showed up with coke in his system, what they found out later on after the crash, and dude was also drunk. So the dude was inexperienced, drunk, rejected from all these pilot hiring programs, and the dude was under the influence. What's the chances of all that lining up for one superstar to fly from Miami to the Bahamas? So let me break this whole thing down again. She was adamant about not getting on the plane. It was a real weird last-minute flight that everyone was apprehensive about. She had another flight arranged that was basically taken from her. She had a cocaine cowboy pilot who didn't have proper credentials, who had just had a felony drug charge, and she had to be sedated to get on the plane. This is a wild situation. And as far as the accusations of JayZ and Hype Williams, I don't know, you don't know, we don't know. But that's the narrative that's out there right now. And I'm just reporting the news. So y'all let me know what y'all think. If y'all got any other things that I missed that I didn't know about or didn't find out and discover in my research, you let me know. But until next time, I'm Sonny Bravo, Action Over Talk. I'm going to holler at y'all next time.